Okay, so I've been sitting here wondering for the last roughly month and a half, 2 months that I've had my Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Arcade1Up cabinet. Now, you guys remember when they announced it, there was a lot of hype around it. It was something I personally was hyped for because I was blessed and lucky enough to get the first Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet, and I have to thank my wife because she made that possible. I didn't think I'd ever get it, and that was before our daughter was born almost 2 years ago. I was able to get that. So then when this one got announced, I was like, man, I need to get my hands on it. And I missed 2 opportunities to get it because for whatever reason, I just wasn't able to, either I didn't have the money at the time or just, the timing was terrible. But when I finally got the opportunity to order it, when it came back in stock at Best Buy, I did order it. And yes, I do know John D. I'm friends with him, cool with him and all that. But I didn't get a review unit sent to me like a lot of other creators. I actually purchased it for my own money. And thankfully, again, shout out to my wife for getting that for me as well. And upon getting it, I set it up. I will say, when it comes to Arcade1Up, when you compare it to other arcade replica manufacturers, it's starting to feel cheap, especially as they're increasing the value and not the value, but the price of the arcade machines. Replicas. Basically, they're running on Android, right? You're paying for basically a bunch of plywood that's covering a cheap monitor and an Android emulator, micro Android device. It took me a couple hours to put it together, and once I got it together and I turned it on, did the initial update and everything like that, it was cool. I was playing through all the arcade games and enjoying them. What was really interesting to me was the fact that the sticks and buttons were vastly upgraded over the original Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet. They are substantially better. The buttons feel way good. I feel like Sawandenshis, right? They really feel really good and super responsive. I was able to pull off moves way easier in this one than in the previous, Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade1Up cabinet. The problem with this cabinet is they marketed the cabinet with having Marvel vs. Capcom 2 being able to play it online. You can play almost all the other games with the exception of the Super NES games that are ported onto this cabinet. You can play all of them online. So, X-Men, Children of the Atom, and all the other ones going up to Marvel vs. Capcom, all of them have online capability. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was one that they marketed as having online capability built into it, but unfortunately, when you try to play the game, it does not have online capability. Now, we're going to talk about that because all they're saying is stay tuned, it's coming soon. And I don't know, why would you market a device as having online capability when it doesn't have that at all? Especially when you're charging such a price and you market it, hey, we free Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yeah, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of false advertising with that. Not only that, but let's talk about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My issue with this is the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has a lot of issues. Now, they have pushed out 2 updates that have somewhat improved the functionality of it slightly, not dramatically, but slightly. But what I still run into, what I ran into at the beginning was, one, the audio sounded terrible. It had a weird distortion, and not only that, the game had a lot of latency and lag and glitches in it that don't appear in the original game. I've got the original game right here for Dreamcast. It was really weird having to deal with a lot of issues that this version of it has. And it's because when I played Marvel vs. Capcom on this cabinet as well as on the previous cabinet and on the minicades, I don't run into the issues of any of these performance issues when it comes to emulation. Even when I emulate the Dreamcast version or the PlayStation 2 version or even the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Online Edition for PlayStation 3, which I emulate on my Steam Deck, I also legitimately have a copy of it on my PlayStation 3. When I play it on those consoles, or platforms, I don't have the issues. Now, it's weird because effectively, this cabinet is just an Android device, a small one, that's emulating these, ROMs. So I don't understand why there's such problem with the emulation for the games. Yeah, so when you boot into the game, like what's funny when you're at the title select screen for which title you want to play, it gives you like it'll play like the I Want to Take You for the Ride theme, which is the main thing for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It'll play that perfectly fine, right? It's loud, it's booming. You do have the extra bass boom for the speakers on this one, which are massively upgraded over the ones from Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet. So it plays perfectly fine when you go into the game. The traction plays perfectly fine, no glitches or any issues like that. But when you go beyond that and you go and you start the game and it loads to the character select screen, and then when you go from that screen to you get into the matches, that's when you start experiencing slowdown, input latency, input lag, compared to playing it on the Dreamcast, which is the number one way to play this game. It's absolutely terrible. Even if in comparison to the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox original version, it's still substantially better than playing it on this, and I don't understand that. If you turn on scan lines actually add additional lag latency to it. That is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I know a lot of people have done videos on this complaining about a lot of the issues that I'm talking about here, and a lot of people have returned theirs. I'm not returning mine, as one, because I like having the cabinet. I know that Arcade1Up, I know they're gonna keep patching it. They're eventually gonna bring online to it. And I know it's a collector's item that is probably not gonna be available again. As much as they kept saying, like, if you don't buy it now, you're not gonna get it ever. They said the kind of a similar thing when it came to Marvel vs. Capcom, and you effectively could still buy that up until like a couple months ago. So that ran for roughly almost 2 years. And then you've also got the Versus Cade, where you like sit, was it like a tabletop Cade? They still sell that, so you can still get that too. Beyond that though, I know that they're gonna push this out again, because one, the amount of people that returned it and all the other issues, they're gonna sell it again. They're probably gonna sell it probably at a slight discount, but they're gonna sell it again. But I don't think it's gonna be, after like a year and a half, 2 years, I don't think you're gonna be able to get it at MSRP. But beyond that, I'm gonna hang on to it. I just wish that they would fix a lot of the issues with it more soon. I think if they knew they were going to have all these issues, especially Justin Wong. Like, you guys know, I interviewed Justin Wong on the Castle podcast several years ago, and he's been one of the faces and main people promoting this product. It absolutely went kind of quiet as far as the issues with it, which is really, Justin? It's kind of weird. I will say that I think that if they knew this was going to have as many issues as it has, they probably should have delayed it. It should not have been pushed out when they did. If this needed to sit in the oven until like 2023, then they should have done that, versus pushing it out, collecting the bag the way they did. It is very scummy business practices. And it just, more people, and I'm more disappointed. Bigger creators that have like promoted it, like Max and others, have not bashed 1UP, and I get it. They work with them, they're friends with them, they get free products from them. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, but at the same time, you want to have some integrity to it. So it's a shame that they haven't. It's been up to us, the independent creators that have been bashing them for this, and it just needs bigger attention, because they sold the Blitz cabinet, and that doesn't have online. It also has a lot of issues with that too. It's not a one-to-one of the original either, and they turn around, they sell the Killer Instinct Pro cabinet for $1,000. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Arcade1Up. Like I know a lot of people have bought a lot of Arcade1Up cabinets, and they love the brand, they stick with it, but they also are being critical and not wanting to support them. I can understand that. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's really nothing else. The only other time I would see myself buying another Arcade1Up cabinet is if they make a Street Fighter cabinet that gets you like all the Street Fighter titles beyond Street Fighter 2. Like, I do love Street Fighter 2, but I'd rather have a cabinet that has Alpha 1, 2, and 3 with online play, or have a Street Fighter collection where it's got the original Street Fighter, all the Street Fighter 2s, Street Fighter Alphas, as well as Street Fighter 3, right? If they could do that and have online play for all the titles, you know, not the original Street Fighter, but all those, I would hop on that. You know, I would pay the $6.99 for that. I wouldn't mind having that. But as far as like another arcade cabinet, I would probably get, it's either gonna be what is it, the At Game Legends. I might get one of those, but I know I'm getting the SNK MVC X or MVSX cabinet. I'm definitely going to be getting one of those because that's something I've been wanting for years. But yeah, all that being said, why don't you guys let me know what you think. Do you have the Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet? Are you disappointed with Arcade1Up? What are your grievances? What are some of the things you like about it? Let's just get the conversation going in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, have aloha, and I'll see you around. Peace.